Hi, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a really brief update because I'm sort of doing it in between a lunch hour. Firstly, I hope you like my new aerodynamic look and a bit of a windswept look as well, but that's how it is. Anyhow, I'm going to do this before Donald comes down and starts interrupting us and hogs the camera as he normally does. So basically, I've had a few people contact me. Some are showing their interest in being part of the Primal Reset. And others have asked a bit about it. So I thought if I do a very quick update, then people can get a better understanding of it. So the whole idea behind doing the Primal Reset is basically you-led. I've had a number of people contact me and I've helped a number of people realign their lifestyle and they've reaped the benefits of it. So I'm kind of looking at, should I take this a little bit to the next level? And that's why I'm looking at calling it the Primal Reset. So just to give you a bit about my history so you can sort of put it in proportion. Everything I talk about is from personal experience. It is my journey that I want to share with you, and I want you to come and join me and come on your own journey, and we as a community work together and do that as part of the Primal Reset. So I'll quickly flash up this picture. This is a picture taken a few years back with my late mum. And the bit I really want to show you about the picture is this. This is the same necklace that I'm wearing in that shot. And as you can see, my neck has somewhat got smaller. So just to give you an idea, my neck had to have been that kind of size to be as tight around my neck. Now, unfortunately, at my heaviest, because I was embarrassed, I never really weighed myself. But if I'm honest, I was 20 plus stone. I used to have one of those fitness apps that used to record doing it. And the last recording that I can find was I was at 122 kilos, which is just over 266 pounds or 19 stone in the UK. But I know for a fact, before I started checking my weight, I was substantially bigger than that. And as you can see in that photo, I was morbidly obese. So just to give you a little bit of an idea of the journey that I was on, when I got to my largest, I decided to try and take action. Now, and I'll touch upon this in a minute, I did do Slimming World. I did do Weight Watchers over that period of time with relative success. But again, I never kind of got down to anywhere near where I wanted to be. I even started doing discipline sports, etc. to try and get to do it. But I always quickly failed, let's say. And I think we've all been guilty of that. And then I saw a documentary about, it was called Forks Over Knives. And I was blown away by it. And I went and purchased the book. And I went literally overnight vegan, and just to prove it, and I thought I'd dig out some of the evidences. I went to the various cookbooks. I started doing my own vegan cheeses. I started doing various vegan meals, and I will admit I lost some weight because at the time my focus was my weight. However, as I've said in previous videos, I was starving hungry. I was always hungry and I was constantly eating. I was grazing the whole time. So from the morning having a big bowl of porridge and whatever thrown in with it, I'd be snacking again at 10 and possibly at 11. Then I'd be eating my so-called salad or whatever it was I was doing at lunchtime. And then I was snacking again in the afternoon, eating bananas or whatever it was, and then having a meal. And even in the late evening, I was still hungry. I do apologise if you're hearing external noises, but this is my work environment, and I am doing this in my lunch break. So just to bring it up to speed. So I tried all that. I went down. I then went into the next craze, which was the juicing craze. I followed that. And I bought the juicer and I did all the various bits and pieces. And again, had not limited. I had some success, but it wasn't sustainable and I couldn't get it. And within a short period of time, my weight was going up again and I was getting lethargic and all the issues that go with it. And I'm sure people watching this that have had issues with their weight can relate to what I'm saying. And then by sheer chance in 2023, now just to I'd exited my business. I thought I was basically retiring, to be honest. I thought that was it. I was retiring slightly early because I had the opportunity to do so. And I had a bit of a rethink about what I was doing. And then by sheer chance, we came across on YouTube the Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan interview. And I sat there, and I've said this previously, so for those that have already heard it, I do apologise. But I sat there and thought, do you know what? I could do that. I could do this. What he was doing at the time was the lion diet. And I thought, yep, I can do that. Brilliant. And I'll never forget Inga, my wife's face, when she just went, oh, another fad. And I'm one of these people, because I did good sport at a youth age and I did judo at quite a decent level. I'm quite a disciplined person, but that discipline lasts for a period of time. I'd go to the gym or whatever, and then eventually you start to fall away. And I was dead determined to try and make this happen. So, and the biggest mistake I made, and there's one of the things I want to share with this community if we get this Primal Reset off the ground, was the biggest mistake is I went gun-ho, went straight into it, literally overnight, switched from eating what was called a Western diet, and that certainly wasn't a great one. There was a lot of carbs, a lot of sugar involved in my diet. Overnight to just eating beef, well, I was going to say beef, water and salt is what I went to. I did allow eggs because I thought I wouldn't be able to sustain it, so I wasn't quite strictly lying. And I did allow a little bit of cheese, but tiny amount of cheese, almost irrelevant amounts. And then within a very short period of time, well, no, let's put it in perspective. Within a few days, I had a volcanic bowel, let's put it that way, and I was seriously thinking, what the hell am I doing? I had then gone, obviously, and done a further study into various areas, and I understood about the keto flu. And I kind of thought, well, should I go to keto? And I thought, no, let's persevere. And obviously within a couple of days, I had exited all sorts of stuff, let's say. So I was convinced, well, I'm pretty empty, so it can't get any worse. And I then ploughed on with the diet. I did weigh myself 3-4 days in and was blown away with the weight loss. Now, let's put it in perspective. You lose a lot of fluids when it goes first, mainly waters, etc. I also put into my theory that, well, if I had the level of diarrhea that I'd had the previous 2 days, that probably explains a lot. So I thought, okay, this is good, but I didn't sort of realise it. By the end of the first week, my wife pointed out I was not snoring as much, which kind of surprised me. And I had then lost something like 10-11 pounds, and I was thinking, well, that can't all just be fluid. So again, I persevered with the idea of doing this particular diet, and then by the second week, I had lost over a stone, and I'm like, wow, is this normal? Is this right? You start getting a bit of concern by losing so rapid weight. So again, went back to the good old YouTube and did various checks and searches, and I came across Dr. Ken Berry and Dr. Sean Baker, and Paul Mason was absolutely revolutionary for me. And then I discovered people like Professor David Diamond, and I suddenly thought this high fat, low carb diet is the one for me. And over the subsequent weeks, it just got better and better. Now, a real key point for me, just leading up to the weekend after the first week, when my bowels and all that had settled down, one of my brothers, I'm the youngest of 7, right? So one of my older brothers was holding a little party further up in Suffolk, and I hadn't seen him for a while, so I went. And I was quite taken back with a number of my family members actually saying to me, my God, Carl, you've lost some weight, you're looking good. And and I'm like, this is just a week, 10 days into it. This is incredible. So I explained what I was doing and thought no more of it. And one of my nephews, James, was there. And at the time, he says to me subsequently, he was 20-ish stone as well. And he was quite impressed. So he went and studied it. I carried on with the process to the point that I lost the equivalent of 6.5 stone, which is a substantial amount of weight, and But the more importantly, the biggest changes I identified was my sleep had improved. I'd stopped snoring within 2 weeks, not after 2 weeks, within 2 weeks, which was to the great pleasure of my wife. The thing I noticed, I was waking with more energy. I wasn't falling asleep on the sofa in the evening. After I'd had a meal or something, I would quite regularly watch the telly and do the old doze off and fall asleep. I felt really energized. I noticed I was sleeping less, but I was waking more alert. And you hear all the other bits about the brain fog and all that. All those, perfect. So my original reason for doing it was to obviously lose some weight because I was morbidly obese at the time, as you can see from that photo. But the things I started noticing was my health had improved. I was walking the dog and wasn't panting on the way back from a walk. I was panting after a walk. I was actually finding I wanted to walk further, to Donald's annoyance. I didn't do any other exercise, but the weight kept falling off. I then got really into it, as a lot of us do, and went a bit crazy. And I started learning about bone broth, and I started doing more research into it. And by the 6-month period, I was back down to, well, I used to compete at judo at under 90 kilos, right? I can't remember what is in real. I'll put it up on the screen. I used to compete at judo, and that was at my fittest when I was sort of 17, 18, 19. And I was suddenly down to that weight, and I actually felt as fit, if not fitter, without doing any exercise. I hadn't joined a gym, hadn't done any running or anything like that. The only exercise I did was walking Donald. Admittedly, I did a couple of walks a day, and I went from doing, a 200 yard to 300 yard to the local park where Donald would run around and then come back, to suddenly walking 1, 2, 3 miles at a time. As I say, Donald wasn't too impressed, but so be it. So when I did further research, and then one of the big game-changing books for me was this. I came across it, I think it was Dr. David Diamond talked about it, and I think he's got some contributions. As you can see, it's well leafed over. And that was when I suddenly realised we had been misled. And, I was born in 66, so I was brought up in that low-fat, high-carb, healthy eating, balanced diet, 5 a day, all that shit, all right? Eat 3 meals a day, all that stuff. Eat your 5 dewberries, whatever they are. And I then started waking up to the reality of it, and I studied it more. And as I've said a number of times, I decided this has been game-changing for me. So I want to talk from a position of credibility. So I decided to do a PhD, or started to do a self-funded PhD. So there was no influence from any outside parties other than me funding it myself. And I started the ball rolling. And I know that's a 4 to 6 year program, but I started studying, I started gaining books, I started looking. So when I set up the YouTube channel, it was originally the Carnivore Nation. I wanted to create a community of carnivores, but I realized that was quite niche, and it's starting to get quite saturated. And I also wanted to sort of spread my sort of research a little bit beyond carnivore. So I did a bit of about 6 months in, I switched to what I called the primal lifestyle. So I wanted to cover keto, paleo, as well as carnivore, as lion, and the various bits, and be open to the vegetarian, because the real sin for me is the ultra processed foods. And it just seems, it come like the light bulb moment for me was, there's 2 big industries that kind of working against our health. So the first industry is the food industry, the ultra processed food industry, not every food industry, but remember, but the ultra processed. They want us to, because we took fat out of the diet, we replaced it with sugar, and sugar is one of the bad addictions that I think we're all guilty of, and I was terribly guilty of sugar. And I say to many people, you look at the main addictions, not all the addictions, the main addictions, but you look at tobacco, you look at alcohol, you look at the various types of drugs, what I call sugar addiction, because I think that is an addictive product. They are all plant-based. So when you see Dr. Chafee say plants are trying to kill you, and you start looking into that field, I think it's a bit of a weird one, and you start looking into the detail, and you come across people like Zoe Harcombe, who breaks down a lot of the science. You suddenly start realizing we're onto something here. There is something of value. I'm now over 2 years on it. I think a couple of weeks, or last week, I passed 800 days on this lifestyle, and I have never maintained. I mean, look, this is a shirt that I used to have. As you can see, it's way too big, but I'm just too tight to buy new shirts, and these are quality shirts, so sod that. But obviously, I want to now encourage others to get the experience I had. So the idea of the Primal Reset, its real focus is about health and lifestyle, and in improving that. And as a consequence, it's weight loss. However, I know that by doing that, I'm going into the realms of the weight loss industry. So here in the UK, the big two are Weight Watchers and Slimming World, which I have in the past done both. And for certain people, it works. But the problem you've got is when that bus stops and you get off, for me, that's where you fail. You'll fail. So it's about lifestyle, not diet. See, I think a lot of people, especially in the UK, and I'm sure it's similar in the States and further afield into Europe, but the word diet is related to losing weight. People says, I'm going on a diet, I'm going to lose weight. Well, for me, it's not about diet, it's about lifestyle. So it's not only what you put in your mouth, it's what you do in your environment. So from what I've done from my research, the big sins are stress, high carbs because of the glucose, which then triggers the insulin, which then brings you into insulin resistance, and then you've got various other issues that follow that. They're the real issues. It's not fat. Fat's been demonized, and that's wrong, and I'm a big advocate. I now eat, and it's interesting because at the recent meetup, sorry if I keep jumping around, but the recent meetup, there was a question asked about the ratio between fat and protein for people that want to get the benefit, and Richard Smith gave a detailed answer, let's say that. But he was saying is getting the right ratio for you, depending on what you want. So if you're going to be an athlete, you might need a different ratio to someone that just wants to either put on or lose weight, because that's the other thing about this Primal Reset. It's not about weight loss, it's about optimum weight for you. Not for me, not for anyone else, but for you as an individual. So some people may need to gain weight to get to that optimum weight, and other people need to lose weight because they've become obese or whatever it is on there. The biggest thing for me is inflammation that has gone, because I had various aches and pains from my judo days where I've hurt bones and broke bits and pieces. But the one that always got me, and I was quite proud of it in the time, I used to have very big feet. I used to have between size 14 and size 15, depending on the width of the shoe. If they were narrow, I'd have to have a 15. But commonly, if I could get a wide fit, I could get into a size 14 shoe. And that used to be quite expensive because I had to either go to the big and small shops, which is a series of shops in the UK that provide that kind of clothing and footwear, or I'd have to go online and either buy purpose-made shoes or get shoes made, which obviously becomes more expensive. However, the biggest thing, and I hadn't even realised it at first until I went to a function where I put my tux on and I had to get it taken in because it was way too big on me. And then I put my shoes on, my dress shoes, which you'd wear with and they kept falling off like slippers. So obviously when I checked after that particular night, my feet had shrunk. And I went to, not trying to promote shops or whatever, but I went to a particular cheap, well-known shop to buy some smaller footwear, some trainers. And I suddenly found comfortably I fitted in a size 12. Well, the only way I could have fitted in a size 12 is my feet had shrunk. And I know I've done some videos in the past about it. But that just goes to show you the level of inflammation. Now, I think for me, personally, because of judo, and I used to do a lot of things called ankle sweeps, where you use your base of your foot to flip your opponent over. And I won't scare a few people, but if I showed you a picture of my feet, both knuckles and my big toes have been previously damaged, and my big toe is slightly inset because of where it got reset and all that. and I think there was a lot of swelling in that area and various parts of the joints of my feet, where now they're fine. And to the point that recently I've even started doing a bit of running, and thanks to Anthony Haydock over in the States, I've now got the courage to do a couple of challenges, and I'll use this as my video commitment to do that. I'm planning to do what they call Maggie's Challenge, which I think that Kerry from Homestead Howe and Dr. Sean Baker started the whole project. Anthony Haydock's done a fantastic video, well worth seeing him doing it, but taking it to his level of extra extreme. And now I'm going to do it, but as some of you may know, in 2010, in one of my stages of trying to get fit and do it, I did the London Marathon in a medieval suit of armour. Here's a picture that was used on one of the national newspapers the next day. And I'd just like to tell you, the first mile was absolutely brilliant and great fun. However, the next 9 hours and 46 minutes was absolute bloody hell. And that's another story, and I'll share that story with you guys at some point in the future. But obviously I'm thinking of then doing Maggie's Challenge, but instead of carrying 50 kilos in each hand, which is what the challenge is about, I'm thinking of wearing over just under 100 kilos, sorry, rephrase, 50 pounds in each hand. And I'm talking about wearing something that weighs approximately this, which weighs approximately 97 pounds in weight, and then doing the 1/4 mile distance in it just to raise awareness and then start challenging some other people. So the only issue I have is I'm planning to do something else with Anthony Haydock that he's doing, which is something well worth watching. He is looking to do, I don't want to give it away yet because he's not 100% confirmed with it, but there's another challenge that we're doing which will involve quite a physical challenge that to do in full fire kit, run up a number of floors to the equivalent of what the fire crews did in 9/11. So to remark that. So I'm working on that, but sadly, because of the training I was doing for that, I've actually pulled my calf, and I'm not going to be able to do 9/11 this year. So I've got to replan it and pick another day. But that's for another day, another story. So I'm going off course. So back to what the Primal Reset's all about. So I've then started researching and going deeper into other things, and I started looking at this. I came across this book as well. Now this is about eating the primal way, and predominantly eaten raw. So as you'll see by some of my previous videos, this guy, so if I can get it in the shot, oh sorry, now where's his name? Here we go. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it, but I'll flash it up on the screen. And he talked about the raw diet, and I found that really influential. I started eating raw, and I now eat raw, during the course of the week. However, I find that doing a mix of the two works for me. It's my journey. And then obviously at the recent meetup, we had the pleasure of Stephen Thomas, who is the UK Carnivore, and I bought all 3 of his books, and I'm going to hopefully be sharing with you guys some of the findings there, as well as some of the other research that I'm doing. So the idea of the Primal Reset is to share information for us as a community, and I think the idea is we will meet online weekly, and when I can, face to face as well, if it's appropriate, because I don't know what members are going to be. There might be in other parts of Europe or US or whatever, but we'll find a way around it. But we'll definitely have some one-to-ones as well as some group. There'll be no weigh-ins as such like they do at Weight Watchers and Slimming World, because I think that's the wrong focus. But we as a group, one, will support each other and work together. I am going to try and I'll be transparent here, I am looking at to help finance my PhD, so there will be like a membership fee, but it's going to be nowhere near the prices. So just to give you an idea, and again, I haven't checked in full detail, this is what I've just skimmed off the internet, but like Weight Watchers, they quite regularly do a promo where you get 9 months for £10 a month, but then you get a regular rolling 3 months, so about $18.95 per month. And I believe Slimming World, there's a joining fee, a one-off joining fee of about £5 or £6, and then there's a weekly £6 or so So if you look at an average month, because there's 4.2 weeks a month, it works out around about, very small change, from £25 a month. And I am nowhere near looking at that. For me, once I get an idea of the numbers of people, and the more number, I don't want to be a mass number. I'd rather have small groups of 10 to 12, maybe 15 at tops, no more than that per group. If we happen to get more than that, then I'll split it into 2 different groups, or even cross-pollinate some of the groups, because it's about community, it's about sharing, and it's about supporting each other. Now, not to try and belittle, there is already a brilliant WhatsApp group in the UK on carnivore, but it's very carnivore focused. And it's quite, there's 30-40 people in that group, and I just think that's a little bit too much. It's very difficult to manage, and you then get unusual, as you do in normal group society, where you get the ones that are much more vocal than some, and you get others that go quiet or sit in the background. They might be taking in the information, but the idea of this is to get you all to work in harmony, supporting each other, sharing the information, and getting the benefit. There's no compulsory stay in it or anything. You can hop in and hop out when you like. If you wanted to, you can come on board, get all the documents and the paperwork that I'm going to be producing for this. So I'm pulling a number of, not cheat sheets, but information, facts and dietary helps and all the various bits and pieces. Just to give you a little bit of background as well, I decided as part of the PhD, because one of the carnivores, Al, who's actually in the WhatsApp group, who touched base with me, suggested it. I joined the nutritional network, and they had a proper advisory nutrition study course, which I've done and have qualified and completed that. So I'm not just took it off the top of my head, but the idea is it's about sharing real experiences, not listen to any of the propaganda from the last 10, 20 years, but to share real experiences. And when someone is struggling on something, as a group and a community, to work together and then take that forward. There will be other bits and pieces that I'll throw in for membership, and I'm trying to get some t-shirts and hats designed, and as part of your membership you'll get bits and pieces for that. But again, this is in its infancy, and it's a little bit of a dip my toe in the water to see if it's worth, because I do have a business that I run, and I do have a life as well. So I don't want it to become all encompassing, but I also want it to share the help. And if I can benefit, there's 6 or 7 people that I know of that have, from what I've done, have improved their lifestyles and improved their health. And I now want to take that and take it forward so it can be a rolling program. And then if you guys find it helpful and you want to do your own thing and do similar, go with my blessing, I'll help you. So I hope I've kind of explained what I'm trying to achieve with this Primal Reset. It's not going to be hard and fast, but it's going to be focused as a group, working in community together and help. So a couple of other bit of updates. I believe that George, myself and Lauren and maybe Steph is also maybe doing a live stream on Monday evening to talk about a couple of meetup events that we are trying to put together. Another one this year, and then a bit of an idea about the program we're doing. I'm planning to go and see a venue next week about putting one on more in the southeast of England. So because obviously the one down in Sourdown is quite a journey for myself. I live in Ipswich, so that was quite a lengthy journey for me. There is a potential venue that we're going to be looking at in the Kent area, so people that are more this neck of the woods might find it easy to get to. I am hoping to pursue another one that showed interest at the meetup, having one up in Scotland if there's enough carnivores that want to attend there, and there's potentially one in the Midlands area, East and West Midlands. We've just got to sort out the venue and all that. So again, and I believe there's another one we were approached down in Devon, which is even further down than Sourdown. But again, depending on the interest and the scale of that, we can start pulling things together. But it's all about you guys. It's about providing for you and what you can get from it. And I'm hoping that the Primal Reset will give you something of value, because that's what it's about. I'm not just about trying to take some money from people, but I want to do this proper and professionally and take it forward in the right way. So I would really be keen. I've had a few people already reached out to me. I've had a half a dozen or so reach out to me, so I'm very close to having the first group. I just got to get my finger out and give them something of value before they do it. I have even written a book, but it's very much in its early stages, and I'll just show you. So this is very much its draft at the moment. It's called the Carnivore Diet 101. It's about 160 A4 pages, which obviously will be condensed and make it a bit more. It's a lot about the history. It's explaining that it's not a fad. There's quite a lot of content, but it's still work in progress, and it's encapsulating some of my stuff. And I'm hoping to pull out bits of that to share with the community that we set up. So if you are interested, please feel free to either email me at thecarnivoreme@gmail.com, which I'll put down in the front here, or on here, or message me on my Facebook page. I've got a Primal Lifestyle Facebook page. Just get in contact. It's non-committal. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. But if you're interested, I just want to gauge the level of people to do it to see if it's a really viable thing to do. So really appreciate you giving me your time and watching this video. I will obviously put some bits on here, so there's other videos. But if you really, really are interested in seeing the success, I have a playlist here of 1-to-1. Oh, sorry, this is me in technology. Oh, there you go. Go away, camera. Go away, Mr. Camera. See, this is why I'm shit at technology. Anyhow, I've got a playlist where it's got people talking about their journeys, and I'll continue to do interviews on this channel to add to that, and I've got some brilliant ones lined up. So, again, thank you. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe and you'll get further updates from me. Please like. If you don't like the forum of YouTube, I also have a Facebook page, and I've got a fantastic following growing there, and I'll share information. Not as much, but I'll share information on that as well. So thank you very much. Stay primal. And remember, kill the carbs, not your health.